To you, with your long faces long spun around me, and me, with my long faces long spun around me, let us go somewhere soft to wonder, warm and electrified, forgetting all dread, our arms wrapped tightly around each other, light-breathing bodies in our light-breathing heads. And let us also let this be only the beginning of a surgical catharsis, a self-indictment in the jungle, a cataract lifting off into a sky so blue-eyed Siberian husky blue-eyed that our awe hangs out exposed to the elements of awe, hanging out exposed to the elements, which is a good thing. Because being exposed is our natural human predicament, and as such can be used to thwart the habitual under amazement and over concealment of our body's own souls in floods of numbing, diabolical liquid, and too much bird-like anesthetic scree. The drowsy sounds some babies make to bewitch themselves when their mothers go deep, in complete darkness. Vultures and mavens, preachers and geeks, let us hurl ourselves out of ourselves into the discomfort of being anew, aghast and aglow, limbs screaming and treed in our faces. Let us ready ourselves, blood-stained and grass-stained, to bewilder and be wilder. The latter, of course, just exactly like the former, except with its leap of faith gap to rabbit over into the condor, into the shark, which is back to you, so back to dirt. Now's the time, dear friends, to be an overheated engine block, an irrational radiator, a reactor so intractable the core melts not down, but up, unleashing a beacon surprise, even by itself, smiling like a sea monster, and all the world's devastating money in its mouth. Human heads splitting open, revelations, pink blossoms, asteroids slamming their crusts into breasts, into seas, into similitudes, all at once, so unnerving that the heart's haywire electric goes blush with new juice, and everything is reoriented to a gladness. Oh, radiant companions, forget the long faces. Let us roll up our sleeves and encounter each other for the first time, every time, with all-inclusive kindness. With dear ferocious wonder, there is so much to do. Won't you be moved? I'm singing our souls to you singing our souls. Can you hear us in the aftermath? Beginning. My veins with your veins, my noise with your noise. If I tell you a secret, will you keep it? Will you pocket this minute and promise not to spill it? Nothing subtle about it. Nothing refined. What are we supposed to be? Flour, sugar, salt, some other useful but non-lethal staple? My international bitterness unit is high tonight in the clouds like the snow in those previous poems. Anyone who's ever seen me read in public knows I don't shout all my work. Sometimes we can hear a pin drop. And form and structure, they're always a concern. I try and follow the poem somewhere, let it slide into itself like a runner into third, like a romantic into blank verse. I want to go home, but I'm not sure where home is. Then I keep failing to get there in poem after poem, book after book might mean I'm doing something wrong, or it might mean what I'm after is in Dante or Coleridge or Whitman already, so doing something right has to be in defiance of all my preconceived notions of what a poem's supposed to be on the page, in the air, in the history of gravity and clarity, and forget clarity. I can talk the public talk. I don't want to go home. I want to go to heaven. I want to get high into, not on, the sounds of waves, the sounds of words, the poetical riddle. Go ahead. Be enlightened in all the fake, cheap, and standard ways if you want to. It makes no difference. To be enlightened is still to be surrounded by darkness. I want to be a light obliterating everything, the radiance of 1,000 suns all burst at once, but of life, not death, with mercy and splendor, and I want you with me. The Dispelling all bewitchment, the shadows cast, and the cast of shadows radiate the action which is art and also life. Imagination, in defiance of our limits, makes the world. So my daughter, I started writing these books when my daughter was 5. I was reading Charlotte's Web to her, and there's a part in that book where Charlotte, the spider, sends Templeton the barnyard rat out to get more text so she can write it in her web and save Wilbur the pig from being slaughtered. And he goes out and he comes back with an advertisement for laundry detergent that says, "And now with even more new radiant action." And I loved that. I loved that phrase so much. And that was sort of what started all of this. Agnes is 10 now. My daughter Agnes is 10. And she's decided recently that she only likes the poems of mine that she's in. So I always feel like I should read something with her in it. So this is called Reaching the Awe Sound. Here and now, this blue winter sky, and outside, a light frost, the windows of the houses and the windows of the cars. I walk out on the porch and my glasses fog up. I start my engine to make things warm. Voices swirl around as a white muzzled dog trots by in this marvel of everything good. Morning. Back inside with the radio on, the word in the air is terrorist suspects. Videos of child soldiers executing spies. I wrestle the juice from an orange in my mouth. I read the beginning of Song of Myself, the price of petroleum, a coming election, a stepped-on spear of dead winter grass. I do not loaf. I lean on the counter and call for my daughter. She puts her small self in a puffy blue coat. I put my small self in a black wool sweater. I drive her to school with the radio off. She spells words with the awe sound in them. Awesome, outlaw, walrus, autumn, divides by 9s from 108. At the drop-off spot, she gets out of the car. I love you, I say, I'll be back to pick you up. And when she shuts the door, I turn the radio on, and then I turn it back off. At home, Greek yogurt with pistachios and pecans, a little honey. I drink life down to a hot cup of coffee, this soft dailiness, my ordinary yawp and drawer and author and oft. This picture of heaven where there isn't any heaven is as good a place as any to begin to make a heaven. Either we give ourselves to a course of action or we do not give ourselves, wrote William Carlos Williams. The rest of the day, I am mostly messed up. I go on my nerve. I celebrate myself. I burn through the world with my hands held out. Heaven with the radio off. Well, this is going to take us into summer. Back to summer. Although, I love this cold weather. I've been waiting for it. I love it. I know, I'm one of the...
Go back to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I know. My hair is not the only thing that's weird about me. Fragrant Midwestern charcoal grill smell. The wrath of a little pink birdhouse hanging from a planter hanger nailed to a maple. No birds sing, as has already been noted, but lots of birds chirp and trill, twitter and awk. And then there are the signals of the insects, what they say when they rock. The air tonight is steeped in noise, fireworks display, 4th of July. And we all have strep throat again. The whole house cursed with sparklers, smoke, and beer. Suddenly, Agnes wants to learn to play guitar, but only because she's grounded for sassing the stars. The stars don't get it. People are basically good. Really. People are basically good. I'm saying it just to try it on. I don't know if I believe it, but I'd like to. Do I contradict myself? Very well then. I am small, contained, and terrible. How I manage to believe in anything in the face of knowing rationally that there's nothing to believe in is a mystery, but the activity is meaningful in and of itself. Togetherness is meaningful. Constellation and connecting the dot work, meaningful. I dream the dream of good versus evil. And good always wins, but just barely. So there was a band, a punk rock band called Jawbreaker that really meant a lot to me when I was growing up. They have this amazing song called Ache that I was actually listening to on the way here today. And the beginning of the song, the first couple of lines are, "I believe in desperate acts, the kind that make me look stupid." And that's become a kind of mantra for me. I think that it's a necessary part of art because we revere the great artists of the past for the ways that they established the rules, not for the ways that they followed the rules, which means that eventually, to make art, we got to do something desperate, and we got to be willing to look stupid. Thank you. This poem doesn't reference that song in particular, but it does reference Jawbreaker. If you don't know Jawbreaker, it's okay, you will come to know them. This is going to be loud. This is called Poem with a Chorus by Jawbreaker. The word is pain, and the world is pain, but the sun on our skin is enormous and light. I went out running this morning the way I always do, awkwardly, with lightning. And at some point, I thought about the song Chesterfield King by Jawbreaker, which is a punk rock conversation poem in the romantic tradition, if ever one existed after Coleridge and Wordsworth made it a thing then abandoned it. The chorus goes, "I took my car and drove it down the hill by your house. I drove so fast, but when it couldn't cool me down, I turned it around and came back up. You were waiting on your step, staying, showing off your breath and water in your eyes. We pull each other into one, buckers clinging all along, and just right there." The stanza breaks your mind. I don't know why I thought about that then or why I'm thinking about it now, except that it's a song you should know if you don't already. And it has a fragility to it, a vulnerability in its line-flaming punk rock heart that reminds me of your poems. And how longing never leaves us as long as we live, which is lucky and even better. I'm suddenly struck by the image of a rowboat on the sunset horizon with one lonely figure rowing into the distance out to sea. And in this image, which is really the world, I'd like to call out to the figure in the boat, to the him or the her, who is probably you or me or someone just like us, someone in need, but they're too far away to hear me, or I'm too far away to hear me, and yet that doesn't mean I shouldn't scream and scream to try and get their attention, because attention connects us and generates possibilities, and possibilities are the stitches that we use to close the wounds, the ones that we inflict and the ones inflicted on us. Yeah, the world is pain, but attention is rich, and connection changes everything when we allow it to sing us. The sun going down so light and enormous, the pink and orange waves, their marvelous chorus. I took my car and drove it down the hill by your house. I drove so fast. You took your boat and rowed it out, both to listen and mend. I'm standing here trying to get your attention. Longing for its own sake is a letter close to heaven. Longing words continue the world. Read one more. Thank you all again so much for being here. While I'm finding this, I think Nick's heard this story before, so I apologize, but my great-great-great-grandfather, the Reverend James Hart of the Folsomville, Indiana General Baptist Church for 50 years, stipulated in his will that at his funeral he should be stood up at the pulpit in his coffin with his eyes open, staring at the congregation. Which I feel like explains everything about my life. This is my invitation song. I keep an open house to entreat you. I keep my house open to entreat you, treat you better. And this is my invitation. Come on over forever. I keep my love foaming at the mouth to unseat you. I dream the very baddest, best dreams on the block. Rafael Nadal versus Alabama football. Crushing transcendentalists, noise-canceling headphones. Let's combine our drunken boats. The feathery one and the tallow-candled one. The catamaran and the aircraft carrier. When the wind kicks up, we'll ruin ourselves and joke that we've won. Mission unaccomplished. Plant our fangs hard on the deer in the yard. Have a ball in this plight so familiar to all. Human nature, caterpillar. It can't be spoken, so it can't be a speech. Fully alive, so much harder than it seems. Coming to after blackout, not knowing where you roam. Then kick out the zombies, the jams, motherfuckers, Motor City 5, Jack Kerouac. America, do you miss Walt Whitman? I miss Walt Whitman. I miss Allen Ginsberg. And the Jameses, both Wright and Schuyler and Wright. The names all in flight and the values shredded. Post, whatever condition. Doesn't mean the spirit can't be serious. Doesn't mean the shadow won't take us to the river or down to the mud. Yes, I'm staring at a lake and stick our heads deep in it to mash us in the drink. The water's still icy and cold after winter. Refreshment arrives. The body gets strong. The body gets tight. The form is for fighting. The form is for the fight. To make up new noises, new beauty, new kindness, new belief in our horizons. These shocks to the nervous system, the limbic system and lymph. Wintry mixes to stimulate the senses. To make us expressions. I am. You are. I am. We are the greatest life force ever. Field of vision. The vision. Waking up in each other's arms. Or waking up typing without any alarm, doused in pink weather, wrapped in barbed wire. Come with me to the clearing with the grackles and noisemakers, the preachers and beekeepers. Man, this is not church. It's fire on fire for our fire, and it's fire, that stuff linking every single song we sing together. The twangy ones and teary ones, the scrocky on their knees ones, the simple ones, the nursery ones, the heaven and the hellish ones, the stood up in our coffins in the pulpit at our funerals with our eyes wide open staring at the congregation was. Hellfire and brimstone. Bullshit miraculous. Screaming an ocean into being. Every single body is swirling and swaying, diving and bouncing to the rafters, going nuts. Oh, conflagration of eyelash and throat. Tuneful and tuneless, harmonious and dissonant. We are all of us one giant cacophonous euphony of unity, of tritonic laugh track. The top of the heap and the top of the mountain where the clouds go to boiling. The clouds go to opening geraniums, we think. The wolves come to poetry. The fish go to sleep. The fishermen cast their nets and catch a planet. Some fusion, confusion, some asteroids and stars. Particle physics. It's all constellation, creation and damage, power and calamity, substance and image. These words to entreat you. This invitation to stay with me. My heart is always open. Feel free to come on over. Will we fly with one wing or find our feet with each other? Will we maintain our grip on this slippery human tether? The potential